Hello, children. Hope you all are doing great. Children, today we are going to time travel and go back in time. As we go back in the past, we will understand how things used to be in the earlier times. So let's push the button of our time travel machine and enjoy our journey in the past. Children, in the past, people were not aware of growing food and using different materials for storing food grains and water. Early man used to hunt and gather the fruits that they found in the forest. As humans started observing how the plants grow around them, they started collecting seeds and cultivating them. This was the way in which farming started. With the practice of farming and growing grains, they also felt the need of storing them. As we all know, necessity is the mother of invention. So, they started making pots from moldable clay. This was the time when the art of pottery began. Let's learn more about this art of pottery as we read the textbook. Children, please turn to page number 108. Long ago, when people learned to grow food grains, they also felt the need to store them. They started making pots out of clay. At first, they made huge pots to store grains and other things. Later, people began to make pots of different shapes and sizes to cook and serve food. So children, early humans, when they started growing crops, they felt the need of storing it too. This was the reason why they started making pots. They started making big pots for storing the grains and later made pots of different shapes and sizes and used it for different purposes like cooking and serving. They used clay for making pots. Clay is a fine and sticky soil which is found near lakes and rivers. It is soft and can be molded into different shapes when wet and becomes hard when it dries. Let's read about the story of pots 2 from the textbook. The story of pots. In early times, people made pots by simply kneading the clay and shaping it with their hands. This was done by pinching a ball of clay between the finger and the thumb. The clay was then rolled between the palm into thin, long, rope-like strips. This process is called coiling. In the beginning, pots were dried in the sun. But people soon found that these sun-dried pots were not very strong. Also, they could not be used for storing water. So, people started baking clay pots in a special oven known as kiln. The process is known as firing. Children, underline the word kiln. 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 It is a special oven used to bake objects made of clay. Also underline the word firing. 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 It means the process of baking clay objects in a kiln. Children, the story of pots shows us how the process of making pots became more better as humans started exploring new ways of making them better, look-wise and strength-wise. Earlier, they were shaped with hands itself and were exposed to sun for drying. After observing that these pots were not very strong, a better method of making pots was developed. This involved using a special oven for baking the clay pots. This special oven is called the kiln, and the process is called firing. Let's read further from the textbook about the story of pots. Much later, the wheel was invented. Potters began using the potter's wheel to give shape to the clay. The potter places a lump of clay on the wheel. He spins the wheel around either side with a stick or with his feet. While the wheel spins, the potter gives shape to the clay using his hands. Once the pot is ready, the potter cuts off the bottom of the pot from the clay lump on the wheel. He keeps the wet post aside to dry. Then the dried pot is baked in the kiln to make it strong. Nowadays, some potters use wheels that work on electricity. This has made making pots faster and easier. Children, underline the word potters. P-O-T-T-E-R-S. Potters. Potters are people who make clay pots. So children, as the time passed, the method of making pots also kept on improving. With the invention of wheel, the process of making pots improved as it was used for quick molding and designing of the clay pots. People who used to make pots are called potters. Earlier, they used a stick or their feet to spin the wheel. As the wheel spins, they use their hands to give beautiful shapes to the wet clay. These pots are dried in a kiln and are ready for use. In current times too, some people enjoy the art of pottery and they use the potter's wheel which works on electricity. They use a paddle to control the speed of the wheel. This has made the process of making pots very fast and easy. So children, wasn't it amazing to learn about the story of pots? Yes, indeed. Children, with increase in the modern materials like steel and plastic, many people have stopped using clay items in their homes. However, there are still some people who like to keep clay items in their homes. Some of them still use these earthen clay pots in their homes to store drinking water. Water stays very cool in these pots. Let's read from the textbook about such clay items which we use in our daily life. Use of clay in our daily life. Raj belongs to a small village in Haryana. In his village, most people use earthen pots in the kitchen. His grandmother sets curd, cooks dal, and stores water in earthen pots. These pots keep the water cool. His grandfather drinks tea in a kulhad. The children play with toys made from clay. The ladies of the house wear colorful ornaments of clay. Beautiful clay bowls are used as decoration pieces. Raj and his sister decorate their house on Diwali with diyas made of clay. They paint beautiful designs on the diyas. Raj loves listening to his cousin Subbu play the ghatam, a specially designed clay pot used as a musical instrument. Children, underline the word ornaments. 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 It means jewelry worn by people. So children, did you all see how clay items are used in so many different ways? They are used as utensils in the kitchen, as decorative items, as toys, as diyas, and also as musical instrument. Wow, that is so amazing. I'm sure you all must have lighted up the beautifully painted diyas in your homes during various festivals. Ghatam is the most ancient instrument of India. It is made of clay with some amounts of iron, copper, silver, and aluminium. It has a narrow mouth. It is used in South Indian classical music. The player taps the surface of the ghatam with the fingers and palm to produce different sounds. So children, I'm sure you all must have enjoyed to learn about something that we see in our homes. Now we know how all of these clay items are made. With this, we end our today's session. I will meet you again where we will discuss and work on the textbook exercise of this lesson. Till then, goodbye children.